Hi guys, my name's Luke and I'm from Yeehaa Fishing Tackle in Panmure. Just here to talk to you today a little bit about the amazing Yellowfin run that we're having. We haven't had it happen for about 5 years now, and before that we hadn't happened for about 10 years, so it's something that's not normal, and we're just here to talk about how to make the most of it and how to get out there and enjoy it. Yellowfin, because they haven't been around for a couple of years, not too many people have been targeting them, but they're an amazing fish. They're beautiful eating, the fight's good, it's an all-around easy fish to catch because they're eating trolling lures. Since they've been away for so long, people have forgotten how good they taste, and the fact they do fight really hard. They eat lures on the troll and they scream massive screaming runs, so it's really exciting. And again, the eating quality is huge, so if you're going to be catching them, make sure you take care of them. Take plenty of ice with you when you're out fishing, and have some of the best sashimi you'll ever have. Some of the gear that we're usually fishing with them is trolling lures, so such as this here, which is the Bond's D-Shackle and Karma. Just smaller trolling lures that we're using, mainly because the yellowfin we're catching aren't huge in size. They're sort of ranging between 10 and 25 kilos. So they're not massive fish, so we're generally using the smaller trolling lures. The only bonus to that is that a lot of marlin are eating them as well. So when we talk about rigging them, we're going to rig them for both yellowfin and marlin. If you are wanting to get out there and chase these yellowfin, the ideal trolling setups are anything between 15 kilo tackle all the way to 130 pound. The reason why we use such a sort of heavier tackle for these fish is that because we have the chance of marlin eating them all the time, we want to make sure we take advantage of everything that we could catch. So try not to go too light, but small trolling setups from Telica 25s through to your Tiger 80 wides are perfect. And just like I say, make sure it's rigged up for if that marlin eats, and there have been some big yellowfin being caught up to 80, 90 kilos. So some of our favourite lures so far this season, one of the outstanding lures has been the Bond's D-Shackle and Karma. This lure here has been great. Striped marlin, bluefin, yellowfin's been fantastic. A couple other favourites have been our squid colours, so smaller lures just in the squid colours. Recently, in the past couple of days, anything with a bit of orange in it seems to be a killer. And then a couple other favourites would be something with a bit of pink, either a full pink or something like this Pineapple Express, which is heavily weighted, which will hold in there, and the tuna seems to be really liking that as well. Right, so this would be sort of our standard spread that I'd recommend for a customer if we're going out for trolling for yellowfin. It also covers your marlin fishing as well with a small lure. Basically starting at this end here, this would be where our boat would be. And as we come back behind the boat, we go through the waves. So this here would be, we start on our second wave, and then we're just dropping through the waves as we come across to the other side. We go to the third wave, fourth wave, fifth wave, and then this lure back on either the sixth or the seventh wave. By creating this pattern here, it keeps the lures from tangling, so if we're running multiple rods, we can sort of turn without tangling, and we're covering the whole wash behind the boat. And then when it comes to, like we keep saying, we're using small lures, and when we say that, what makes a small lure is these are actually quite long. We do trim them up a little bit, but we call this a 7.5 inch lure because the head of the lure is designed to take a skirt that's sized at 7.5 inches. And so these lures can range anywhere between 6 and 10 inches long, but the head shape is designed for a 7.5 inch skirt, and that's what we sort of call as a small lure. But don't get me wrong, we've caught some really big marlin and some real big tuna on these lures. We're either rigging them between 200 to 300 pound leaders, so we're not going super heavy. The lures are quite small, so we're keeping the leaders quite light. And then hook-wise, we're either rigging them with a single stainless hook of about an 8x0, or we are also rigging them with the Bond's light gauge hooks, mainly just for the chance if a marlin eats it, and we have caught some pretty big tuna on these as well. So either of those options are fine, but keep it light, about 200 to 300 pound leader, and don't make the hooks too big. Other things you can do to sort of enhance your spread and make a little bit more action out there is we do add little things like birds. We add these on the front of the lures, just on between your lure and your main line. These here basically just skid along the surface and make a lot of splash. The splashing also helps hide your leader, so if the tuna are a little bit line shy, these do help hide your leaders behind the lure and do make a big ruckus behind them. So often we can run up to 2, and generally on the lures that are far behind the boat. When we're out there trolling, the speed we're wanting to be doing is sort of between 6 to 8 knots. Tuna generally do like a little bit of a slower speed, around 6.5 knots, but your normal marlin speed of 7 knots is fine. If you're in a trailer boat, obviously you're a bit smaller and your speed will vary a bit, so if you sit around that 7 knots, your speed will vary between 6 to 8, which is fine. If you're out there trolling and you do happen to have a hookup and you think it's a tuna, it does pay to keep going for a little bit. Don't slow the boat down, and definitely don't pull the gear in just yet. because there is a good chance that they will be in a pack and you might get a second, third, or maybe even a fourth, which is awesome because it's full chaos when that happens. So far, the most productive places to find these yellowfin, anywhere between the Aldermans and Mere Island seems to be the hot spot this year. The 300 to 400 metre contour seems to be the key to finding them there. We've also had good reports out of Whangarei, south of the Knights and that sort of area, same depths, or 150 to 300. And then north of New Zealand in the Pranga Canyons area has been great for some big yellowfin, with some really nice ones up to about 80 kilos taken out of there. And then I have heard from now Yeehaa Bay is also having a bit of run. But we're just looking for where that clean water's meeting basically the green water, where we'll find the bait. So have a look at your SST charts and try and find those areas where the blue water's meeting the green water, and that seems to be where we're finding them. If you're leaving from Auckland, which obviously a lot of boaties, a lot of us are, there are some places that are close to home that you can try. You can either head it south and sort of make your way down to Whitianga, or basically heading towards the Chicks from behind the Mokes to the Chicks is quite a good area. Yeah, between that Mokes to the Chicks on that sort of 150 to 300 metre line, quite a lot of fish are coming out of that place at the moment. Yeah, so once we get a fish and we've landed it, the biggest thing to do with a tuna is, because their body, basically their blood runs hotter than the water, the best thing to do is we need to bleed it. So the first thing we do is we bleed the fish, and then we need to gut and gill the fish as well. It's very important to get all the blood and guts out, because the guts will cook the fish from the inside out. So once we get it on board, bleed the fish, gut and gill the fish, and then basically we'll pack the gut cavity with ice and then surround the rest of the fish with ice as well to make sure that we chill the whole body. The best way to bleed them is we nick behind the pec fin, which if you lift up the pec fin, you'll see the lateral line. We come back about 2 inches from the pec fin and we'll nick just under the skin. The vein actually runs directly under the skin, so you don't have to push the knife in very deep. Once we nick that, we'll also go in through the gill cavity with the knife. We'll cut through where the gills are to help bleed from there. And if you've got a hose, push the hose into the gill cavity, and that'll help pump water through the fish. And eventually you'll see the blood will start turning clear, and it will just become salt water pumping through the fish, and that's when all the blood's gone. So that's just a quick wrap up on the yellowfin season that we've got this year. It's real awesome that they've come back, and we're pretty excited to get amongst them and start catching them. But if you want a bit more in-depth detail, make sure you come in and see us. We're here 7 days a week, 8 till 6 p.m. We all do a lot of trolling, so make sure you come and see any of the boys here, and we'll help sort you out and get you into it. See you out there.